What do you want now, Valentina?
You know what I want. The hyena traitor who's been helping the rogues.
I don't know anything. I can't help you.
This is not a request. I'm telling you. Now.
Damn it, fine. But listen, you're gonna have your work cut out for you. This guy is being protected by rogues, and he doesn't want to be found.
I just met him.
Roger that. Agent, he's covering his tracks. You need to find him before it's too late.
I got this.
Agent, bring him in alive.
Ready to negotiate now? Target lost.
Damn it, Valentina.
Hey agents, I got another Backfire build for you. Yep, this is number 3, but I couldn't help it because this was a good idea. And actually, part of it, I gotta give credit to a channel fan, Paul Drayton, who... Hey, if you like this build, you'll like the Bighorn build that shoots like a Cetar and hits like a truck. A link is above and in the description below.
So anyways, let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
So this build starts with the exotic SMG called the Backfire. I'll quickly go over what this weapon does. On hit, you get 1% crit damage, and it stacks up to 200 times for 200% crit damage. The downside is, on reload it applies bleed, which at full stacks can kill you. You don't want that, so you have to mitigate that bleed, and in this build we're going to be immune to it. Now for the gear. This is basically how Negotiator's Dilemma works. Crit damage from your weapon tags the enemy. You can tag up to 5 enemies at a time. And when you deal damage to any tagged enemy, 60 to 100% of that damage is applied to all enemies that you have tagged, giving you the possibility to kill up to 5 enemies at the same time. And if that wasn't enough, whenever one of these marked enemies dies, you get 2% critical hit damage, stacking up to 20 times for 40% total crit damage until combat ends. So when you have all your stacks, you have 320% crit damage. In this video, I'm including a few build variations for you. I wanted to give you a variety in case you didn't have all the pieces. They're all great, so choose what's best for your playstyle and what you have in your bag. So you need at least 4 pieces to trigger the talent Hostile Negotiations. And many would argue that the backpack is best in slot for this set, and I can't argue with that, I love it. So as you can see, it comes with the talent Critical Measures, which takes that damage applied to marked enemies from 60 to 100%. That's a big deal. So it came with pretty high weapon damage. I rolled on Hazard Protection and threw on a Bleed Resistance mod. As for the gloves and knee pads, they're pretty much the same. The holster already had hazard protection, so I rolled armor. The more pieces you can find like this, the better. It gives you a lot more flexibility on damage output and survivability. The chest piece is my first piece of Bellstone for 1% armor regen. It came with pretty much max armor. I rolled on hazard protection. It's got headshot damage, which I'd prefer something different, but there it is. and I put a bleed resistance mod. For the talent, I went with Obliterate, which gives me 25% more weapon damage on crit. So for this talent and a gear set, you need to make sure you have high crits, at a minimum 50%. Between the watch, the gun, and the brand set, you should have that. My mask is my second piece of Bellstone for that 10% armor on kill. It came with max armor and max crit damage. I threw on hazard protection and a bleed resistance mod. Now, I wanted that armor on kill because I'm running the gunner specialization, so together they give me 20% armor on kill. And because of this gear set, I can get multiple armor on kills applied to me at the same time. Let's just pause and think about the possibilities that multi-kills can give you. There's lots of talents that can synergize with this. Most are on the backpack. You have Bloodsucker, Unstoppable Force, and you guessed it, the exotic backpack, the Memento. Now, this is very exciting. You probably noticed I was using this backpack in the gameplay footage early on. This brand set helps you get max stacks on your Memento backpack really fast. I mean, you're just littering the place with Memento trophies. And when you pick up one of those trophies, you get weapon damage, bonus armor, and skill efficiency buffs for 10 seconds. There's also the long-term buffs, which at full stacks, which is 30 trophies, gives you 30% more weapon damage, 30% more skill efficiency, and 3% armor regeneration. Although it's exciting, I didn't lead with this build because it requires that you have one piece of Y'all gear, which is DZ exclusive. And I know many of you don't have a good Y'all piece, especially the Hollow Man, which you see I'm using here. If you didn't know, it comes with 10% health damage at the attributes level, which applies to most of the red NPCs, even Chungas, dogs, and weak points. If you want to know how to get this mask and other DZ exclusive gear without ever going into the DZ, I'll put a link to the video I made that shows you how to do this in the description area below. So there are trade-offs with this version of the build. You're losing the brand backpack, which drops the damage spread from 100% to 60% to those marked enemies, which is still great. And as you can see here, I'm running the chest piece instead of the backpack, which increases my marked targets from 3 to 5, which is helpful. And without Bellstone, you also lose that additional 10% armor on kill. But Memento sort of makes up for that. You got bonus armor, more healing power, more armor regen. And for the other variation, I'll just tell you, go with the 4-piece Negotiator's Dilemma brand set, including the backpack. And between the mask and the chest piece, put on Sokolov and 1-piece Walker. Everything else is the same: hazard protection, bleed resistance mods, and crit damage. This version was a lot more powerful, but I didn't prefer it because you lose the survivability, and I like balanced builds. I'm sort of over the all red, all yellow build concepts. I just don't prefer to be that squishy, especially since I like to play up front. Except for my sniper build, of course, but I stay in cover and play deep. And I wanted to mention, all of my builds are tested and tuned for both heroic and legendary gameplay. And I think that's important for you to know, because if you're using the build but you don't quite have it optimized yet, and you feel like you're too squishy or something like that, it's usually because the build is sensitive to a balance of power and survivability. Again, mostly because I want to make sure these are legendary ready. And if your build isn't optimized yet, then you might feel a little bit squishy. That's normal. But on the other hand, I make most of these builds, like this one, to be on the front lines. If that's not your playstyle, then just use this build as a template and adjust accordingly. So if you're more of a relaxed player and stay behind cover a lot, maybe you don't need as much armor or armor regen or armor on kill. And you could roll all that over into weapon damage. Okay, I'm gonna shut up for a minute and let you check out this game.